Hello. Been a while. So we're going to continue our exploration of the emotions as described by Aristotle in his book, The Art of Rhetoric. The next emotion is possibly the most complex and counterintuitive and nuanced emotion of the lot. It may be emotion that many people have felt but haven't articulated, and that emotion is indignance. Indignance, in Aristotle's view, is chimeric. It's a hybrid of two emotions, justice and anger. And how does that work? We feel indignant when we feel anger. We feel the heat of anger at the sight of a perceived injustice. So it's dependent on social mores and morality. Our conception of justice will frame the triggers of indignance in us. And of course, this is the foundation of legal systems. It's what drives people to draft up laws and set up courts and feel satisfaction at justice being carried out. Indignance is different from envy. The indignant man will feel anger at the sight of someone with ill-gotten gains because they didn't justly deserve those gains, but they wouldn't feel anger at the sight of the same person who had earned those gains, whereas the envious person would. Self-pity is a mirror image of indignance. We feel self-pity when we think our misfortune is unmerited, and we also feel indignance when we see people with merited fortune or fortunate outcomes. So it's really about the reaction to unjust gains and losses, whether to ourselves or people like us. It's about a feeling of universal deservedness. We feel indignant when we see ourselves in others, or we see others having something they don't deserve and compare that to our position. It's about fairness ultimately. Okay. So the indignant man is pleased at the deserved fortune of others. They're not jealous. The indignant man is happy when others succeed rightfully. And Aristotle says that schadenfreude, pleasure at the misfortune of others, in and of itself is a sign of bad character. It needs to be connected to a greater good. We're indignant at the just deserts of a criminal, not because of their pain in and of itself, but because they should have known better, or perhaps because of the feeling that active would be corrective, or maybe an incentive for good action on the part of others who see the punishment and think twice before doing it themselves. Aristotle doesn't tell you what deservedness is, but he tells you what the feeling is when you see undeserved or deserved happenings in the world. How do you convince someone that their fortune or misfortune is deserved then? Because if you're able to convince someone that their misfortune is deserved, then you can reframe them as a victim to a criminal, or reframe yourself as a victim to someone who deserves the misfortune you've suffered. One of those ways that Aristotle says, and he brings this up in again and again, is by saying that it's the will of God. So provenance is one of the ways to justify the fortune that begets people. If they inherit something or if they take something, you'll say that the land is theirs, they deserved it, or it was ordained by God. So indignance in this way can be diffused with argumentation. For example, if you took something and you were benefiting from that thing you've taken off another, you could simply say that they stole it from you. Or you can simply say that they don't deserve it because their ancestors stole it, and so forth. Indignance can also be a mask for ambition. It can be a way to depose someone in power by claiming that they don't deserve that power, when in reality it's a way to create a vacuum to take your own power. And of course this is at the heart of many interest groups in politics. But ultimately, the sincerely indignant people are those that are concerned with justice. And this is the motivating feeling for sincere political movements, I believe. So much for indignance. I think we've got one or two other emotions, and then we'll do some concluding videos on some of the techniques and literary, rather grammatical, rhetorical devices Aristotle shows in the concluding book, in the third book of the Rhetoric, as an example for the readers. Thank you.